So I got to play my greatest hero in all of fiction. Well, I got to play his footsteps, but still it was breathtaking. As some people might know, I'm a bit of a superhero fan. You know, it's kind of a hobby, a passion, an obsession, whatever. The wording isn't important. But those aren't the only characters I love. I'm big on the majority of action and adventure stories, whether in books, on TV, or in film. And for me, one hero stands above the rest. He's been with me pretty much all my life, as I first watched his movies when I was but a wee lad. In my opinion, he is the greatest adventurer ever to grace the silver screen. He is Indiana Jones. Yes, Indy is my idol, the rugged hero who has inspired me from the moment I first watched him run from a boulder, climb under a moving truck, and nervously sweat when surrounded by a bunch of snakes. Very relatable. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Indy film, is my favorite movie of all time, by far. Believe it or not. And I've watched all of the Indy films at least 2.7 million times, conservative estimate, plus the entire Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV series, and pretty much anything else I could get my hands on. So yeah, I'm kind of a fan. And the other day I walked into one of my classes, Audio Techniques, which is focused on mixing audio and sound effects for films. This particular day was our Foley day, where we got to work in the Foley studio, and that's where you watch footage from a film on a big screen and then use random props and knickknacks and doodads to create various sound effects that you synchronize with the action on screen. Very fun, very fascinating. And I've been looking forward to it, but I've also been super busy this week, so I'm pretty exhausted by the time I walk into that studio. But as soon as I enter the room, I see that the clip which is freeze-framed on screen is a shot of what looks like an ancient temple wall with an open-mouthed face carved into it. Being me, I instantly think to myself, oh, that's obviously the opening scene of Raiders, where Indy is in the South American temple trying to recover the Cacapoyan fertility idol while avoiding several booby traps that include poison darts that shoot out of the wall when you step on hidden pressure plates in the floor. Everybody knows that. Now I'm excited. I'm raring to go. If this is the footage we're going to be working with, then my dreams are coming true. But seeing as most people didn't instantly ascertain that, my professor goes on to explain that we'll be creating sound effects for a scene from the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indy is going after an idol, and so on and so forth. Then he says, first we need to record Indy's footsteps. So, who wants to be Indy? And I calmly think to myself, me! I want to do it, it's me! But in the interest of preserving my reputation, I don't say that. My professor asks who is wearing the most Indy-like footwear, and he begins scanning the whole class's shoes. Now, by some divine miracle, the fates are on my side, and this morning I happened to put on my brown leather boots that are extremely close to what Indy wears. It just seemed like a boot day, you know. When in Rome. So everyone points to my feet, and my professor quickly says, yeah, you. And then he spots a girl with hard-soled leather shoes, and he says, and maybe you too. Those might work. We'll test both of you. Oh boy, now I have to audition for the role of my life. Of course, I steel my nerves and look at the girl and think, you're going down. I've dreamed about this moment my whole life. I'm not giving up without a fight. And so we both step onto the little patch of stone-tiled floor that will simulate the ancient temple floor for our recordings, and my professor throws some dirt onto the tiles to make it sound aged and dirty. He has the girl do a few fake footsteps to see how they sound, and they sound pretty good. I'm sweating bullets now. I mean, I've got to step like I've never stepped before if I want to win this role. So I take a few steps thinking, am I doing this right? How would Indy do it? Am I stepping like Parker or am I stepping like Indy? I don't know. And thankfully, the fates are still on my side, and my professor says, yeah, I think we're going to go with him. And he turns to the girl and says, only because he has the weight of Indy. Thank the merciful heavens, my oversized thighs are finally good for something. I'd like to thank my unhealthy obsession with desserts for winning me this role. Ben, Jerry, I couldn't have done it without you boys. And so I get myself all steeled and ready for the role. You are Henry Jones Jr., nicknamed Indiana. You are an archaeologist, a college professor who spends much of your time adventuring. You're a bit of a rogue. You often find yourself in over your head, but you're lovable. Because, of course, all of this information will inform my footsteps. And my professor heads back into the sound booth to man the recording equipment. And over the speaker system, he says, okay, so you're going to match your footsteps to what you see on screen. And I'm going to be honest, your first couple takes are going to suck. They always do until you get used to the timing. So don't worry about that. Also, this is going to be a tough take. Indy's walking slowly along the temple floor, and then he kind of slips and skids, and then takes 3 quick hopping steps up to the cleaner stone ground where the idol is, and he kind of shifts his weight to retrieve the idol. So it's not going to be easy, trust me. We'll do 4 or 5 takes, just because, you know, the first ones are probably going to be bad. Don't worry about that, they always are. And he plays the clip for me once, so I can get used to the timing that has been permanently ingrained into my psyche after thousands of viewings. And then we do my first take, and I watch the screen and take several tentative steps to avoid the darts, and then I slip and skid my foot around, and then I take 3 quick hopping steps, 1, 2, 3, land on the cleaner stone ground, and then I shift my weight as I'm thinking about how I'm going to grab the idol, and I'm fully in the scene. So when the clip stops and I remember I'm not actually Indiana Jones, I look around and see that the whole class is silent. Suddenly my professor comes over the speaker and breaks the silence, saying, "Okay, that was pretty good. That was really good for a first take, actually. I'm impressed. Well done. Let's do one more, just because I think your hopping steps weren't quite quick enough, but other than that, do everything exactly the same." And I say, "Of course, yes, I felt that too, with the hopping steps." And then I do the second take. I nail the hop this time, and my professor says, "Well done, that was great. I don't think we need any more." And the class applauds me, and I'm honored. I take a deep bow, feeling that I've achieved a performance I've been training for my whole life. And so as I bask in the glow of being Indy, my classmates search for different props and items to use to make the sound of Indy pulling the idol off the pedestal and replacing it with a bag of sand. And then after that, our professor calls us into the sound booth to show us the final clip with the sound effects. He congratulates my work once again as we watch it, and I'm not one to brag normally, but I have to say, my feet have never sounded better. I'm so proud. The timing is just prime. And one of my classmates says, "I bet you didn't wake up this morning thinking you were going to be Indiana Jones." And I instantly respond, "That's my dream every morning when I wake up." And from there, the day takes a turn for the better. I feel less tired. I have a certain archaeological bounce in my step. And later in the day, I run into my audio techniques professor while I'm heading to a different class, and he says, "Hey, great job as Indy today." Hearing that sentence is the ultimate pinnacle of my acting career. That's all I could ever hope for. I mean, somebody congratulating me on playing Indiana Jones. That's the peak. I think it's all downhill from here, probably. And I guess the lesson here is that sometimes the smallest, most seemingly mundane thing, like walking on a stone-tiled floor to recreate the sound of footsteps, can absolutely make your day, or in this case, your life, in a way you never could have foreseen. It's the little things that keep you going and renew your spirit. Those are the moments worth treasuring. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go talk to the agent of Harrison Ford's feet to see if I can score a role in the upcoming Star Wars movie. Han Solo's boots is the next dream role on my list. I'll catch you later.